Every year, tens of millions of people flock to witness the most impressive spectacle in the skies.
The airshow industry is shrinking.
But this much-loved tradition is under threat.
You don't have a piece of concrete right underneath you that you can land on and just solve a problem. It's a series of split-second decisions.
I choose to actually go beyond the normal realms of aviation. It was about as close as you can come to having an accident without really having an accident.
After shutting down our engines, popping the canopies, going out and meeting the crowd afterwards, the expression on their faces is absolutely priceless.
It is feel like skating in the ice.
In this program, we follow the world's greatest pilots to air shows around the world to see how they're adapting to the challenging new climate and to pay tribute to those who make air shows happen. It's February, 2 months until the start of the airshow season. Across the world, pilots and technicians are working on their aircraft and perfecting their routines. 6 months ago, the industry was rocked by the Shoreham Airshow crash, which killed 11 people and prompted a massive fee increase across the UK that pushed some airshows out of business. But Phil Connolly, owner of a Huey and Loach helicopter, is unconcerned about the new fees.
You know, Shoreham was a problem.
Yep.
And Dalton Park was a problem. And as a result of that, some of the air shows have been cancelled for 2016. There are some preliminary reports out from the Civil Aviation Authority, and they brought in some new legislation, which everybody's coping with and dealing with. But it's a different scene than what it was from last year.
It's a period of damaging uncertainty and media scrutiny, and the Civil Aviation Authority has faced an angry backlash from pilots and public alike. But Phil is bucking the trend. He believes that the airshow industry has been bruised, but not broken.
For the display pilot's point of view, yes, it moves each display authorization payment up by 100%. So for us, in comparison when you see to operate these aircraft, it's not a lot of money really. Where it does affect a lot of people is the airshow organiser. But clearly the CAA have not put their costs up for a good few years for that. It was due a rise, and the CAA need more people within the GA organisation. It is warranted in some departments, but for discussion in others.
Across the world, pilots like Phil are preparing for the airshow season. In the US, it's just a few weeks away. While the Thunderbirds train at Nellis on the other side of the planet, another team of aircraft is rehearsing for a very different kind of display. In 2.5 months, the island nation of Singapore is celebrating its 50th birthday, and the Republic of Singapore Air Force will be performing a flypast of 50 aircraft, representing every type in its inventory. It's a massive undertaking, and this is the first of 10 weekly rehearsals. As the finale, 20 F-16D Plus jets will form a 50 formation, while the 6 F-16s of the Black Knights perform a bomb burst behind. It's the first time that such a complex and sophisticated manoeuvre has been attempted in the history of the RSAF. The next 10 seconds are crucial. Mission success, but not everybody is so lucky. On the 2nd of June 2016, the Blue Angels lost opposing solo Jeff Koos in a fatal accident during a training flight. A Thunderbirds aircraft had crashed earlier the same day. The cause of the crash was pronounced as pilot error. Like Andy Hill at Shoreham, Koos had entered a vertical manoeuvre too low to recover. To reduce the mental strain on pilots, the intensity of the Blue Angels schedule has since been reduced. Commander Frank Weiser, an ex-Blue Angels pilot, has been drafted in to fill the gap left by his colleague.
I'd say the most challenging portion that I had was becoming reacclimated with the aircraft and then the challenges of the demonstration. So flying an airplane is a bit like riding a bike. It does come back, but it's also a perishable skill. So if you stay away for too long, there's an amount of time, and for some people it might be a few days, for some people it might be a few years, that it takes to get comfortable in the airplane again. And certainly that is exactly the same for our demonstration, but to a greater degree.
The Blue Angels are among the oldest and most prestigious aerobatic teams in the world, yet they have a pilot fatality rate of 10%. What makes the risks worthwhile for the pilots?
From a personal perspective, one of the things that's really remarkable about this job is you see the benefits of your work every single day. So our job is to enhance recruiting and positively represent the men and women that are deployed. And we see that in the faces of young men and women across the crowd everywhere we go. So there's a lot of joy on my end to see our mission actually take place.
But things went from bad to worse. 1 week after the accident in Tennessee, the Russian Knights and Patrice Swiss were also involved in major accidents, one of which was fatal. The Patrice Swiss will fly the remainder of the season with just 5 jets, and they're rehearsing a new reduced routine to compensate.
You know, we flew 52 years without any incident, and we always have a margin, a safety margin that was in the past like this and is now, and also for the future, it's always with the margin and has nothing to do with the accident.
Niels and his team don't have long to prepare. They're scheduled to appear at the Royal International Air Tattoo, the world's largest military air show, in 1 month's time.
We had just a short break of 2 days, and then we flew and started with the training on Thursday after the incident, after the accident in Leeuwarden as a 5 ship.
Red Bull Air Race pilot Matt Hall knows all too well about the risk of an accident.
Back in 2010, I had a fairly public event where I dipped my wingtips in the Detroit River. And it was about as close as you can come to having an accident without really having an accident. It's in aviation there are risks, and you choose your risks, you choose how much risk you're taking. So aviation is in fact a very safe activity. But after that particular incident in Windsor, we sat down and we went, how did that happen? So we had to really go through a number of things that we thought were quite relevant. There's lots of items, but the top 3 items that were quite relevant to what contributed to me having that incident, and then we put measures in place to stop those items happening again. So life's about learning, life's about taking measured risk to get somewhere, and that's what we continue to do. And we hopefully I'm hopefully a safer pilot, and we're hopefully a safer team because we've actually had that experience and learned from it.
At any air show, there are regulations and an experienced team in place to keep spectators and pilots as safe as possible. One of the key members of the team is the air boss.
Check 1 2, check 1 2.
So my name's Russell Royce. I've been airbossing on my own for 14 years now, since I was 18. My dad, Ralph Royce, was an air boss. He's been airbossing since 1975. I grew up going to air shows. I apprenticed under him for 4 years. The first time he let me talk on the radio, I was 14. The first time he let me run an act, I was 16.
Today, Russell is airbossing at Thunder over Cedar Creek Lake, one of the only air shows in Texas to be held over water.
Running around at 400 miles per hour, there's an inherent risk in that. So you try and manage the risk. And that's a large portion of what you do as an air boss, managing risk.
We have a very clear understanding of what I'm going to do. Every single move and turn is pre-planned. We have a very clear understanding with everyone involved what I'm going to do if something goes wrong, how we're going to recognise if something goes wrong, and what action needs to be taken after that. So doing the aerobatics is actually the easy bit. That's what I do every day of the week.
For Thunder over Cedar Creek Lake, Air Boss Russell Royce has an added challenge, with dissimilar aircraft operating from 7 airfields at different times.
Any superstitions that you do before you start off a flight?
Nope, just a short little prayer before I take off.
You got to have really good three-dimensional awareness, a very good understanding of the geometry of flight. A faster airplane is going to turn outside of a slower airplane, everything else being equal. You can, by accident or on purpose, unintentionally, design an unsafe situation simply by how the geometry draws on the ground. So you have a really good understanding of the geometry on the ground, and then obviously there's a 3D component, a really good understanding of what the pilot is thinking and when's a good time to talk to him, when's not a good time to talk to him. Make sure his head's in the game, because it's split-second decisions, and it's a series of split-second decisions.
Now they're having to do this in the dark, folks. Now what is this on the down line? Ready, break. That's the downward bomber.
The airshow passes uneventfully. For Russell, it's just another day in the office. Meanwhile, in the UK, over 200 aircraft from 20 countries are arriving for the largest military airshow in the world, Riyadh. The biggest and best names in aviation are here, including the F-35B Lightning II, taking part in its first airshow outside the USA. Most of the aircraft in Riyadh's 9-hour flying display are jet fighters, including 4 separate displays by the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the best-selling modern combat aircraft. This is Tom de Mortel of the Belgian F-16 demo team, one of Europe's top fast jet displays. With the benefit of 3 onboard cameras, we can analyse the effect of G-force on Tom's body and his plane during his demanding display. As Tom pulls back on the stick, G-force pushes him into the seat at 7 times the force of gravity. His G-suit inflates to squeeze his muscles and stop the blood draining to his feet. Starved of oxygen, Tom's vision begins to close. To avoid blacking out, he tenses his muscles and consciously fights the tunnel vision. Pushing on the stick causes the opposite effect. 3 times the force of gravity is now tearing Tom out of his seat. Blood rushes to his head and he begins to red out. In the opinion of most pilots, negative G is the worst. Breathing is challenging under the extreme forces, and the constant high roll rate can even cause the fluid to swirl in your brain. Pilots all have their own way of dealing with G-force, but they all agree on one thing. To fly aerobatics, you have to be physically fit.
I have pulled a lot of G. It does affect long term. I do have a sore back and sore neck from all of that type of stuff. But what it does do is it helps me be motivated to stay fit and healthy.
I'm glad that my body is one of the bodies that can actually take it, because a lot of people can't.
Back at Fairford, it's day 2 of RIAT, the world's largest military airshow, and the Patrie Suisse are due on for what transpired to be their only display of the weekend. But there's a problem. After painstakingly rehearsing their 5-ship routine, one of the Patrie Suisse pilots is feeling unwell, and the team quickly design a 4-ship routine in replacement. The missing pilot is one of the 2 soloists. This is something that no one was expecting. But with tens of thousands watching on, the show must continue. The future of the Patrie Suisse has long been said to be insecure. We put this question to the commander.
We hope that we can fly for another 5 to 10 years with the F5, so that the Air Force uses the F5 as a service aircraft. And also, if this happens, we also fly with the Tiger for the Patrie Suisse.
So Patrie Suisse live to fly at RIAT another day. But sadly, the same can't be said for all teams. Meet the Black Knights. The Republic of Singapore Air Force Black Knights aerobatic team are not a permanent team, but were formed in 1973 on the A4 Skyhawk. Indeed, this is an early promotional film for the squadron, who now fly 6 F-16C Fighting Falcons. They were reformed in 2013 to fly at a number of events at home and abroad, although only 2 of those shows were with a full complement of 6 aircraft. This is one of them, the SG-50 aerial display at Marina South. It's an emotional day for the team, who will be stood down again after this evening's National Day flypast. The finale to the show is the dedication pass, in recognition of all Singaporeans who helped build this successful young nation. It's a surprise addition to the routine. This is the first time it's been performed in public, and it may be the last. Later in the evening, it's time for the long-awaited flypast, and with hundreds of thousands of people watching from around Marina Bay, timing is imperative. And it wasn't just the Black Knights making their final public appearance here, also the F-5 Tiger II, the former backbone of the RSAF. It's time for the long-awaited finale. After months of rehearsals, they've nailed it. With that, the Black Knights are stood down. But airshow fans, fear not, because there are still plenty of rare and elusive teams to discover, from Indonesia's Team Jupiter to Spain's Patria Asper,
Smoke now.
And these guys. The Republic of Korea Air Force, Black Eagles.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Sang Yong Park of Black Eagles Squadron Commander. I love Black Eagles because I have been working for Black Eagles many years. Before this aircraft, we flight only 6 aircraft and made in from USA aircraft A37. Nowadays we flew 8 ships with T-50 made in Korea. It is some kind of our national power and air power. We can show that kind of things.
Flying 8 T-50s, the Black Eagles are able to showcase a number of different formation shapes with their jets. Each formation change is meticulously planned, rehearsed and timed to perfection, with the pilots keeping their eyes fixed on fuselage reference points on the lead aircraft. And look, there's even one depicting the T-50 Golden Eagle, the aircraft that they fly. From stunning onboard cameras, we can see how the team move in formation. Here, they switch from cross to diamond.
Pivot now. Smoke now.
Altitude.
While in formation, the pilots look only at the lead aircraft. If they detect movement out the corner of their eye, they simply trust the other pilots will hold their position.
Smoke up. Start now. 5, 6. Check 3. Smoke pod.
Albatross is the widest and most difficult shape.
Smoke up. Eagle now. 5, 6. Check 3. Smoke now.
Altitude.
Smoke up. Go penta.
And once they break out of formation, things get even more dynamic.
7 out. 7.
We can draw in the sky our this kind of circles or some kind of flag shaped in the sky. That is the most fabulous maneuver of our teams. And also the rainfall, the 8 aircraft split 8 directions at the same time. And also the ditching break, 4 ships split at the 4 direction, and as a spectator they imagine maybe the fighter jet aircraft will clash. It feels like skating on ice.
And there's good news for Airshow fans. Park told us that he'd like his team to return to the UK in the near future.
Smoke pod. Ready. Split now.
Altitude. Altitude.
Smoke up.
Smoke up.
But airshows aren't all about blasting round near the speed of sound in jet fighters. The most poignant airshow performances come from the warbirds. And there's perhaps one that is the most popular of them all.
Ready to go. She's now rolling.
Vulcan XH558.
They're down, 16 wheels down, 2 to go, and thank you, thank you.
Vulcan's technical supporting companies pulled out in 2015, making Church Fenton her final major airshow. This is her performance with no music and minimal editing. 558 was sold by the Royal Air Force in 1993, but such was the support for this incredible machine that the public donated nearly £7 million to help fund her upkeep, and she returned to flight in 2007. Since then, she's lived the life of a rock star. But now the plane that draws crowds like no other, the plane that increases the gate at airshows it goes to by 20%, has to be put to sleep. What you've seen in this programme is just a small part of the vast network of air arms and ordinary civilians that make air shows work. From flying and planning displays to directing traffic in car parks, tens of thousands contribute to the industry every year so that we can enjoy the vibrant, safe and exciting activity that air shows represent. And times are tough. In a world of military cutbacks, increased fees and tightened regulations, air shows will have to change. But the least we can do, and indeed the best thing to do, is to buy a ticket.